Whew, happy Mercury direct, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well and you fared really well during that full moon, which was a Virgo full moon, and shining a light on a lot of things that need to be addressed and looked at. Virgo is really good at handling all the details, and Virgo has to do with health and healing. So I feel like it's a perfect time now with Mercury direct to speak about the big freak out that everybody's having with this coronavirus, and of course anybody losing their life or getting sick. It sucks. But let's put into perspective what's going on with all this, because there have been, hundreds of people dying in Italy, like I think 20 something cases in the US. But every year, influenza A takes about 1 million lives worldwide, 100,000 of those being in the United States. So maybe that's helpful for a little perspective. And still, it's no, it sucks. Like, people are getting sick and dying, but the reality is the media is blowing this hugely out of proportion. And of course, you really do need to take precautions and take care of yourselves. But you got to remember who you are and center yourself. We go into areas in our life and where we gain wisdom and learn something. I think that every instance that you have in your life, every event, every person you connect with teaches you something if you're open enough and willing to look at what the lesson is. And last weekend I was really blessed to go see John Two Hawks play. If you don't know who he is, he's an amazing Lakota flutist. He's just incredible. He's like, I'd never heard of him before, but of course I bought a CD called Hidden Medicine. And I went and YouTubed him, and my God, he plays in massive stadiums to like tens of thousands of people. And here he was in Casadega in this tiny little room with like maybe 30 people, and we were able to do a talking stick circle after that happens in Casadega the first Saturday of every month, and John led it. And I'd like to now share some of the wisdom that he shared, because I think it's really pertinent to right now when everybody's flipping out and like losing their minds and panicking about all of this. It's what he shared from the Lakota Nation, and some of the stories, well, they're all really great stories, but one was one of the grandmothers talking about the state of the planet. And that if we took all the four-legged animals, the bear, the coyote, the fox, the giraffes, the elephants, if they were all to become extinct, the planet would die because the balance would be removed. Everything on this planet interacts with everything else. There's no separation. We all have this interconnectedness. If you want to think of The Lion King, the circle of life, it's true. And so the grandmother shared, if all the, beings of the water disappeared, the moray eels, the dolphins, the whales, the fish, the sea lions, the seahorses, the planet would eventually die, because again it would be thrown out of balance because necessary elements are no longer present. And then if all the winged ones, the birds, the eagles, the ravens, the condors, the dragonflies, the bees, if they were all to disappear, the planet would die. Again, the balance, it's out of whack. But she said, if you took all the two-leggeds and removed them from this earth, the planet would thrive. And that's us. We've created such a state of disgrace on this planet and dis-ease. It's prevalent everywhere. So when you're looking at the disease outside of yourself, nothing in the outer is happening without the inner of humanity. So check yourself. If you feel like you're spinning out, get out into nature. Like, go and sit in a forest or take a walk or be by the beach or a pond or wherever you are. Just center yourself and take some time, because truly in this world we're always rushing, especially if we're in a metropolitan area. There's just so much energetics going on. You got to bring yourself back to center, and it really is all about balance. Another great story that I love that John shared was, he was talking about the wisdom of the elders. It's like, if you are walking down the street and you see an elderly person sitting by themselves, or maybe there's a few of them, you could walk up and introduce yourself. Hi, my name's so-and-so. What's your name? Tell me about your life. They love to share their stories. And in the Lakota tradition, the men, when they're under 40, their teepees, he said, are completely white. They're not painted with any of the motifs that they would have or their life experience, because they don't have any yet. As far as the tribe is concerned, you're under 40, you don't have a voice. You don't get to share yet, because you really haven't gained experience. Though we all know plenty of people under 40, who, though they may have wisdom, whatever, they just go on. And gain some life experience, like definitely listen to your elders because they do have the life experience to share with you. So that was some wisdom, but it's more like the balance. And as we were in the talking stick circle, this is really beautiful. And I had never really thought about it before. I don't follow the Native American tradition, though my grandmother was 100% Mayan Indian from the Yucatan. And we have Iroquois on my dad's side. I've always been somebody to go into nature, more pagan, definitely. I feel drawn to my Celtic roots and many past lives in different areas of the world, like Iceland and Ireland and Scotland and England. That's like big for me. But I love their ways and they're really beautiful. And so in the circle that John, he got to open the circle and he was about to drum, and somebody across the room, when he asked had they ever been to sun dances, a lot of people raised their hands. But I hadn't been to one, but somebody asked, how come it's always the men that are drumming? Why are the women not allowed to drum? And he said, it's not that it's not allowed for the women, but he said, think about it. Men and women are different. You have things in your being that we don't have, and vice versa. He said, so the drum represents the moon. Like, you have inherent within your bodies the moon cycles. You bleed with the cycles of the moon. And so the drum represents the moon. And so we are learning as men to come into balance with our feminine side and that aspect that the moon represents. And he picked up the stick to hit the drum, and I knew immediately where he was going with that. He's like, and this is the phallus symbol. The penis, the masculine, coming into balance with the feminine, beating of the drum. And that's why the women, you'll see them standing behind the men, holding sacred space for them, because they're holding it as the men come into balance with their feminine side. And it's just so beautiful. So right now, it's really important for us to come back into balance, to not play into the media fear, to do everything you can to keep your immune system boosted and healthy. And that includes plenty of rest, washing your hands constantly, not touching your face. Maybe you don't want to go out to places that are super busy with tons of people, or if you have to be on a subway or something like that, definitely don't put your hands to your face, which is a very unconscious thing to do. We all do it all the time, but maybe now be a little bit more aware of that. But I have a workshop that I'm implementing, and I'm so excited about it, in Amsterdam in May, and I'm going. I'm not going to let this stop me. I have to live my life, and you have to live your life however you feel suited to do so. But it's about the balance. We got to bring the masculine and feminine back into balance, and that includes our inner. So the outer is always a reflection of what's going on with humanity. So wherever you are on this day, what is today? Today is Wednesday. I hope you have Mercury's day, I believe. I hope you have a beautiful rest of the week. And just breathe. Remember to breathe. Much love.